break hearts. They bury souls and call it a phase. But then they met you and found out you weren't built like the rest. Let's get something straight. This person has a body count, not in the bedroom, but in the spirit realm. They've walked away from the wreckage of other people's lives like it was nothing. Emotional assassins, psychological butchers, spiritual vampires with a charming smile and a back pocket full of manipulation tactics. Fact. Studies in behavioral psychology show that certain individuals with dark triad traits, narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy, are often celebrated in society for their confidence, when in reality they've left a trail of emotional corpses. But see, here's where it all flipped. They pulled the same playbook on you, but the ending hit different. They thought you'd fold like the others, that you'd crumble, lose your mind, or worse, vanish into silence. What they didn't know was that you were spiritually rigged with something ancient, something dangerous, something that doesn't just survive, it responds. And spoiler alert, this wasn't just a failed takedown, it was their last hit. The moment they tried to end you, they triggered something from the other side that doesn't do second chances. So buckle up, because we're not just exposing the attempted hit. We're dragging the whole killer's resume into the light. Oh, and if they're watching this, hey, you messed with the wrong archive of ancient bloodline favor and celestial vengeance. Now grab a seat. Class is in session. Number one, they mastered soul assassination before they ever laid eyes on you. They weren't new to this. This person had a track record of spiritually assassinating people and walking away without a scratch. They'd done this before, more than once. They knew exactly how to spot someone with light and twist that light until it dimmed or died. They knew how to play innocent while dismantling someone's mind, self-worth, and confidence from the inside out. And they did it with pride. You were just supposed to be another easy target, another soul added to their invisible trophy case. But something went wrong. You didn't break. They didn't realize that you were built with a spiritual structure they'd never encountered before. They tried their usual tricks. Love bombing, manipulating, isolating, gaslighting, creating chaos, spreading lies, the whole toolbox. And at first, it may have looked like they were winning. Maybe you even doubted yourself, felt confused, drained, or started to fade into survival mode. But they didn't know what was really happening. Your higher self was watching, quietly documenting everything. They had no idea you were covered in a protection they couldn't see or manipulate. Divine armor doesn't scream, it doesn't boast, and it doesn't warn. It watches. It calculates. It lets the enemy believe they're winning, just long enough to dig their own grave. And that's exactly what this person did. They didn't just misjudge you. They exposed themselves trying to destroy you. They weren't expecting the blowback. They weren't ready for the invisible hit that came back to them when they tried to take you out spiritually. That force hit their life like a wrecking ball. Everything they had built on manipulation started crumbling, and they couldn't trace it back to you because it didn't come from you. It came from the energy they sent. This was the moment they found out the hard way. You weren't just protected, you were dangerous to touch. And anyone who thought they could kill your spirit the way they killed others, they just signed their own spiritual death certificate. Number two, this wasn't jealousy, this was a spiritual hit job. This wasn't about petty jealousy, it wasn't about someone being insecure because you looked good, had talent, or walked in a room and got attention. That would have been too small. No, this was deeper. This person came after you because your presence disrupted something they were spiritually committed to. You were a threat, not to their ego, but to their agenda. You didn't just irritate them. You interfered with the power they had over others. You exposed them without even trying, and that's what made you dangerous to them. This person wasn't just toxic. They were working under spiritual influence, whether they knew it or not. Somewhere along the way, they chose to align with energy that feeds off control, deception, and destruction. They liked being in charge of people's minds. They liked pulling strings. You walked into their life carrying something pure, and it set off alarms in their spirit. They didn't attack because they hated you. They attacked because your light threatened to reveal the darkness they were hiding behind. You didn't even do anything. You didn't expose them, call them out, or drag them publicly. You simply existed with clarity, with peace, with a knowing that couldn't be manipulated, and that drove them mad. You weren't just a person to them. You were a mirror. You were a disruption. You were a walking contradiction to everything they had convinced themselves they could get away with. So no, it wasn't jealousy. This was a spiritual hit. You were targeted because your frequency collided with the false power they built. You were never meant to be in their space. The moment you showed up, you became the problem that had to be eliminated. But what they didn't realize is that trying to take out someone with divine assignment is suicide. They weren't just attacking you. They were crossing into territory marked by a higher authority, and now that they've